Hello, testing one, two, three, and four. Welcome back. Our today's agenda is trying to work through a XAT 2018 VARC section and try it out, learn from it, apply our reading skills, learn new things from the passages, and try to score some marks, right? So, hi, hello, Sritam, hello, Parvinder, how are you? Uh, I think I might have shared the file a little too late, but you can find it right now. I put up the link in the chat. Let me see if it's there still. No. On the top of the chat, I'll share it again. Even if you don't have the link or access, or you don't have to worry about it because I will do it on the screen anyway. Hi, Amna. Hi, Tessa. Hi, Neha. So, you can find the link, open it, or use it later. I will keep it open for a bit. But otherwise, I'll be sharing the screen with you because I don't think anybody has tried out the cases already. I think one person has who was struggling a little bit, but I will do the whole thing on the screen or till as much as needed and you are tired. So let's share the screen. Hey Siri, share my screen. Sorry, I can't help you. No, you don't have to do it. Hi, good evening. Manya, there was a video put out yesterday about how to prepare for that, and that's what we are doing right now. Also, we are preparing for that, and mostly the big summary takeaway was that there's a lot of verbal dependence in the exam. So there is RC, CR, very little grammar, and a couple of parajumbles, but a lot of reading and critical reading. And then there is this whole decision making section, which is mostly the primary task. At least the first task is reading the thing, right, and then using logic evaluation option. So a big bulk of the test is VA or language driven. So that would definitely be my priority. I would try to work on that. And I mean, these skills can be acquired fairly quickly, especially if you've been, let's say, just reading the newspaper for a while and maybe practicing for a cat a little bit. You can just adjust the process and you'll be good to go in no time. Quant, there is only limited amount of time, so I would focus on a couple of topics and master them very well. One of them would be arithmetic, and the other would be geometry. If one of them is a major problem, pick one and then do half, quarter, fundamentals of at least everything, so that you can at least try problem solving on the spot. Because a lot of these questions, they don't require any fancy formula work. They require you to think by yourself, essentially, right, without the formula necessarily. So learn to think and you'll be sorted. So that was a summary of yesterday's good 50-minute session. Hashtag Jai Mahakal. Hello Maverick. Hello Krishna Chandran. You. Good evening. Good evening and Jai Mahakal. Jai Mahakal is like a. I mean, I think I was cracking a joke on someone, not on someone. Like I just found it funny. So it's a carryover from the cat season. So, shall we get started? You can find the link or you can look at the whole thing with me. And yeah, yeah, everybody should use their opposable thumbs that nature and the genetic mutation and selection has created and hit the like button. Actually, I think the joke is quite silly because the symbol of the like button is the thumb, but you don't actually use the thumb to hit it. So the joke has always been wrong. But opposable thumbs, main human tool builder. My cats don't play video games or write something, poetry, etc., because they don't have opposable thumbs. I think they have a lot of feelings. They definitely have feelings and they like want to express it, but they can't write anything. You can, and I can. From where can we get the answer of past that question papers? Most of the uh, most of the I think if you go for a branded coaching thingy, you will have that paper with answer key. Or there are these ZAT paper, pass paper booklets available in the market. Again, I think they are by the top brands only, right? Not that I'm not a top brand, but like well established 20, 30 years old brand. So you have those booklets, and most of the answer keys are okay. Every 10th question in decision making, there might be some disagreement between two different answer keys, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. So it's like 300 rupees worth of investment. Buy one from Flipkart or Amazon or your local bookstore. Promote local, go local, and and that will be sufficient. And use your own head. If you disagree with a particular question or two, that's okay. Such is life, right? Like you don't get perfect things all the time. So yeah, um, I'm not even allowed to say these names. So guys, it's like available for 300, 200 rupees. Don't mind spending it, or visit a local that second hand bookstore, or ask a senior or someone, and you will have it. And you will find it in groups and Google, etc. Right? So that's not a big thing. Yeah, just Google it. Google solves everything, right? So somebody said, "Got opposable thumbs. Good evening. RC strategy worked well for me. It's not wasn't too much of a strategy, by the way. It was mostly logic and common sense and facts, which are there, which have always been there since the dawn of time. So it's not like a special technique or anything. It's just pointing towards the obvious and a little bit of activation of the brain in terms of asking questions. So that's all there is to it. Should we read questions first or passages first? We have answered this question like a gazillion number of times. You quickly do a preview of the passage, then you can read the questions and then approach the passage again, or you can read the passage in detail again and then approach the question. Uh, Both the techniques are completely okay. If there are a lot of passages and the time is little, I might want to look at the questions and read according to need, right? Because especially in cat passages, we saw just a couple of paragraphs might be enough to answer like almost every question. So localization of data, where is the data located, and what is the question asking, will definitely help. However, for that, I recommend like a full-on detailed reading, because I mean I mentioned it yesterday also. It's not that that is very difficult, but that doesn't have as many sitters as cat, because sometimes the cat passage, two of them will be so easy that you can do them in 2.5 minutes. Conditions apply. Do not try it at home without adult supervision, but it's possible. That my experience is that it's middling difficulty, but it's consistently there and it's very application oriented. So you might have to think twice about, and it's not as easy as those cat questions where you just look at the data and you know. I mean, we have done a lot of cat easy passages, so I want to warn you that the ZAD process requires a little more concentration, a little more of what we have been doing, a little more hardcore version of that. That's all, right? So because we did, I'm basically pointing out that some cat passages were so easy, and I mean where we only showed the questions and people were able to answer, right? So do not expect that level of easiness in that, nor is it going to be very very difficult like those very lengthy options, very complicated options, right? This year very less. One word for if true author won't be agree except slot 2. I have no idea. This year, very less it is. Okay. Yeah. So I expect that kind of a difficulty level for that. So, shall we get started? And so we know, hopefully, if you've been attending some of the lives or if you're a course member, you know the process. We'll run through it. Most of the answers will be provided by Janta itself. I will just basically uh, point and read along with you guys. So let's start with how basics are still always the part of the story. This is the very first passage. Yeah, CAT 2020 is over its ancient history, guys, and it's that key to everything is still supreme skill. So let's get back to it. This is the very first paragraph, and not the first paragraph, but a paragraph from the very first passage. And what I want to do is I want to start with the general and specific. So, can you tell me what is the general and specific on the screen right now? And these are the sitter level questions that we start off with always. Do we understand there is a general and specific pattern? Because that is what helps me determine the fundamental idea. That is what helps me compress the information, right? So in this example, everything is actually pointed out. I just want someone to articulate it. What is the general? What is the specific? Chief aim of studies predict future, general, eco, meteorologist, etc. Specific. Okay, yeah, science is the general idea, and meteorologist is a specific of a science, or meteorology is a specific science, economy is a specific science, or doctory or medicine is a specific science, right? And if I read the whole sentence, it said science is to predict the future. So now, if I go example by example, I see that the meteorologist is supposed to predict the future. I mean, the long sentence is different. Economist again is predicting the future. So I hope you understand that if I grab this general and specific game, I understand that this whole paragraph is essentially about this first sentence. The rest of it are examples, right? So this is also how you find the summary of something, that if you remove all the specifics, what is left is essentially what you need to build the perfect idea of what the paragraph is about. Are we okay with that? That if I look at this paragraph, my central idea is that the author is talking about how the main aim of science is to predict the future. Then one, two, three, bang, 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 three different examples were given. Are we okay with this idea? Aman, drop me a message or I'll do it after the session gets over. Okay, so this is just a quick revision of what generally a skill that we'll be using anyway. So I'm starting with the very first paragraph, and let's read it together. Or let me quickly first take you through the outline of the whole test, and then let's choose which one to do, right? So this is one passage. If I read it quickly, it says, if history doesn't follow any stable rules, and if we cannot predict its future course, why study it? So maybe it's about history, right? Because why study history definitely seems like a important idea, right? And this is a sentence we were looking at earlier. It often seems that the chief aim of science is to predict the future. So this is how you save time and improve comprehension, because I know this sentence or this whole box of information, now I don't need it because I've understood it and I've understood the main idea so far. Now, if I look at similarly, what can I predict? So these are all your basic reading ideas that I'm trying to repeat along with whenever we get to the questions, right? And I'll try and go a little faster. So similarly, when I look at this keyword, similarly, I understand that if I'm talking about historians, even for them, we'll talk about predicting future only because I've already grabbed that particular idea. Keep saying yes in between. Hi, both Devarpita and Aman. You can message me. You can find the Telegram link in the Telegram group, and then you can message me there, or you can do it on the Facebook page. Or yeah, or just visit the site, and it's pretty easy now. Everything is on the new site. Let me focus on this. Right? So, historians are asked to examine the actions of our ancestors so that we can repeat their wise decisions and avoid their mistakes, right? So, similarly, so if I have the pattern, this is going to be very, very smooth for me. Are we okay with what I'm doing right now? I am trying to look at the broad paper, but as a teacher, disease syndrome, I also have to repeat those key ideas over and over again, right? So I see a pattern very quickly, so I can go fast. But is very very important for reading any such conjunction. But however, किंतु परंतु लेकिन मुझे आप पसंद तो बहुत हैं लेकिन is the end of the marriage ceremony, right? So this is going to tell you that okay, in history it is not going to work, so I'm already prepared about what is going to happen. It never works like that because the present is just too different from the past. Okay, okay, I understand it. It is a waste of time to study Hannibal's tactics in the Second Punic War. What is this? Why is the author talking suddenly about Hannibal's tactics? Can somebody answer this question? And right now it's going to be very obvious because I'm pointing it out, but still articulate the answer. Why is the author talking about Hannibal's tactics? Why is the author talking about Hannibal's tactics? And who is Hannibal? Bonus points for Gryffindor if somebody knows who Hannibal is and not Hannibal Lecter. And then you can also answer who is Hannibal Lecter. Tessa says it's a specific. Sritam says specific example of using history in future. Those tactics were used in World War II. Sritam, you're thinking extra. I think it's because of your media degree. Uh, it is a specific present. They popped an ad in between. Present is too different, and author is giving an example of how the present is different and the old historical lessons do not work. So I just read the sentence. It never works. The present is too different from the past. And I started reading this sentence. I haven't read it fully, but I want to connect it to what I read earlier. And what can I say about that? Tessa says being specific about the idea that history doesn't work like that. Yes, and a little more than that. That why doesn't it work? Because the present is very different from the past, right? So prediction doesn't work in history, and the Hannibal example is essentially to demonstrate why, or I mean, it's an example of why prediction doesn't work because the present is too different from the past. So it is pointless to waste, or it is a waste of time to study Hannibal's tactics in the Second Punic War so as to copy them in Third World War. Basically, it's not going to work. Now, once again, can I make this smaller because this is not the significant thing? The significant thing maybe was this that, and now can I connect it to whatever I have read so far? So you will also notice from my, let's say, this vehemence that I might have gone into right now, as you get deeper and as you are engaged with it, you get more and more into it, the better it becomes in terms of comprehension and concentration. What worked in cavalry battles? Again, this is just another. Example, I won't even slow down. Cavalry battle, cyber warfare. I know the idea is still that the past is different from the present. Are we together so far? Right? So let me recap once again just to make it very, very clear. This was the idea, and this was one example, the Hannibal and his tactics being used in the Third World War. And what worked in cavalry battles and cyber warfare is another example of what that prediction doesn't work because the past and present are very, very different from each other. Are we okay so far? Now I'm moving on. Science is not just about predicting the future, though. Okay. So now this though tells me that the story is changing again. First, he said science was about predicting the future. History also is about it, but history it doesn't work. And examples. Now he's saying that it's not only about the future. What do you think is going to happen next? Will it blow your mind? If I read this sentence, what can I predict? What can I anticipate, right? And right now I'm going slow, but all of these things in your mind should be like tick tick, automatic, happening one after the other, hopefully. Just like the way you guys take math steps, right? And if you notice, I'm still basically working with very basic reading ideas. To the person who was very, very disturbed by the test, okay. Can I anticipate what will happen after I read this? No, no answers, no anticipation. How science is going to help us in things other than prediction. Great. So now, if I do this while reading, my brain is already warmed up with the sentence that is going to come. I know what's going to happen. So now, if I read it, scholars in all fields often seek to broaden our horizons, thereby opening before us new and unknown futures. So it's not only about predicting, it's about what? It's about broadening our horizons. This is specially true of history. What is specially true? See a pronoun, ask a question. What does this refer to? Other, Imadul says possibilities. I would say make a little more of a sentence out of it. What possibilities? Other possibilities, right? Science has more to it. New idea will be introduced. Science has more to it compared to what? Compared to just prediction. Broadening of horizons is equal to this, correct? So science, the other purpose of these studies and scholars is to broaden our horizons. This is what is the broadening of horizons is especially true of history. So I should be able to connect this broadening of horizon, especially true of history, without the sentences in between because I want to minimize my task. I'm under time pressure, I'm under life pressure. So I want to do it as quickly and perfectly as possible, right? Yes, moving on, I'll go a little faster. Now, when I look at this word though, if I say, though Ramesh worked hard, can you tell me about his results? Though Ramesh worked hard, So this is what you need to do by yourself with every passage. Every time such a word pops up, your mind should start anticipating and predicting and using the logical structure which the word is providing. And if you are not doing that so far, that's just because of we we generally being a poor, like a poor country, right? So still, so that means reading skills are, I mean, are ignored and not taught. But it's very, very doable. You can learn it in a couple of days. Just pay attention to every single but, however, in TV, news, everywhere, till it starts stopping, right? He did not score well. Perfect, right? The moment I give you, I pointed out, you can easily predict it. Please use it while reading on a sentence by sentence level. So notice right now I'm not doing any shortcut, no preview, nothing. I'm basically working at a sentence level interpretation. Some of you might have done this a lot already. Though historians occasionally try their hand at prophecy. Now, can I predict again? Because I know there'll be a contrast, but I'll not slow down. They try hand at prophecy. Prophecy is another word for what? Predicting the future, right? Predict the future. So one should not get thrown. Ideas are repeated over and over again in different words, and that's why investment in vocabulary is like perfect all the time. That is why I keep saying that's the most important course ever, right? So they, though they try prophecy, that is predicting the future, the study of history aims above all to make us aware of possibilities, broadening our horizons, aware of possibilities we don't normally consider. Aren't they the same ideas again? Right? So again, I'm compressing the information. Okay, history will help me broaden my horizon. Now, what is going to happen in the paragraph? What do you I think? I think now the author has revealed his hand. Now he's given the central idea away. Now, what is going to happen? He's just going to now explain this idea that how studying history is going to be dramatic and emotional or whatever, and he's going to try and convince you that how studying history is about opening up of possibilities, right? And now he's going into the details. Historians study the past not in order to repeat it, but in order to be liberated from it. Oh, wow. Each and every one of us has been born into a given historical reality, ruled by particular norms and values, and managed by a unique economic and political system. Do we understand this sentence easily? And you have to quickly apply it in your own life. You are born somewhere in some city, to some family. That family itself is some level of economy, some caste, some religion. You're just born into it, and some time, right? You, if you're born in this modern era, you might be fighting with your parents about what dresses are you going to wear. But 100 years back, you might be not even know the concept of how that you can fight with your whatever family, right? So quickly taking a sentence and using it in your real life, because you have lived life, you're like 18, 20 and above, right? So I understand the sentence approximately economy, political, someone is born in a particular time slot, which is such an interesting idea, right? To learn as well. So we take this reality for granted, thinking it is natural, inevitable, and immutable. Oh, perfect. So you might be born into a certain situation and you think, okay, this is only life. But then you, if you look at history, then you realize there are very many ways of life. And I think that's what we are talking about, awareness of possibilities. So if I have the idea going, then I'll be able to connect it all together. Okay, okay, and say, yeah, I get the approximate idea. After this point, actually, you might not even need to read everything in detail too much, and you're good to go towards the question and come back if needed for the rest of the paragraph, right? But let me still read it because it's so much fun. As I said earlier, we'll also read for fun. We take this reality for granted. Okay, read this. We forget that our world was created by an accidental chain of events. Oh, wow, such beauty, right? Chain of events, one after the other, right? Ancestors before ancestors before ancestors, and things happening to them. And that history shaped not only our technology, politics, and society, but also our thoughts, fears, and dreams. Perfect. I'm learning new stuff. The cold hand of the past emerges from the grave of our ancestors. What is he going to say after all of this dramatic poetry? He's going to say, learning history frees us from this uh, thought process. So the cold hand of the past emerges. We have felt that grip from the moment we are born. So we assume that it is natural and inescapable part of who we are. Therefore, we seldom try to shake ourselves free and envision alternative futures, broaden horizon, right? Opening up possibilities. Studying history aims to loosen the grip of the past. It enables us to turn our head this way and that, which I already understand it when I was reading that it's opening up possibilities. So now if you notice that it's just repeating. By observing the accidental chain of events that led us here, we realize how our very thoughts and dreams took shape, and we can begin to think and dream differently, opening up a possibility. I rest my case. Are we still together? Right? So some effort, I don't know how much, no, not too much time actually. So great. Now the special thing about that is it's not asking you what is the central idea, it is asking you to first find a central idea and then apply it in a certain situation. But I think all of you will get the answer right now. So the question is on your screen. Please try it out while I take a breather. The two questions are on your screen. You can try both of them. So I've got a couple of answers. Have I? Question number one. One person has said B. Neha says C. And Imadul has Samriddhi says one C. Okay. So tell me this. Why are you saying C? British names of streets in India should be changed to Indian names along with an explanation of their history. Was the passage about a conflict in two cultures, like your British name and an earlier Indian name? Or was it about history opening up various perspectives for you, or how learning history can open up perspectives for you? So, why are the British names being changed? If you want to show the history, keep the British names and show the Indian names, right? So I'm responding to all those people who have marked C. So I'm giving a counter reason, or I'm asking them why do they think that British names, if some streets have British names, and a lot of them do actually in reality. But what is the there is nothing in the passage about eliminating one culture or something like that, right? So if you have marked C, I suggest you look for another option. And I hope the reason why is making sense to you. The this is throwing me off. British names of streets of in India should be changed. Or you might feel about it because there's also a nationalism wave going on. Everybody is a true nationalist, so you might feel okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I just read about it that I will change the name of this city to whatever Bhagyanagar or something. But that's not the question, right? So, okay, so you guys basically, those who picked C, they picked C because of the second part, that explanation of their history. But this was the troublesome part. And if actually, in this case, we have read the whole passage. Let me, yeah, so I hope you see why there's a problem in C. The same problem, British names of streets in India should not be changed. I have no idea. I mean, uh, it actually makes more sense than C if you want to, because okay, you want to keep the history part going, right? But remember, you're always looking at the best possible answer. So let me evaluate the others as well. E is definitely wrong, right? Names of Indian streets should be periodically changed. Completely nonsensical, makes no sense. Names of Indian streets should be based on suggestions generated on opinion poll. What has this got to do with history and opening up of avenues? I see the problem with this, and every street in India should display a plaque that lists all its previous names. Is perfect because it is giving me a history lesson, and it'll teach me about how different civilizations and cultures lived, right? Are we okay with this? Yeah, D and E made no sense to me. They made no sense to me either. I hope everybody is okay with why the answer is B. And even if you were confused a little bit, I hope at least the passage is very, very clear. That is step number one, always, that can I have clarity in whatever I read. And I hope the basic revision of using terms like similarly, using but, and understanding the though, connecting the ideas together, that is the more important thing. The result is your holy text also says don't worry about the result, right? Are we okay with what has happened here? So now time for question number 2. Which of the following is the closest to the essence of the passage? This is your standard main idea question. Have people already given answers for 2? Yes, some people have. Ravi says for question 2E. Parvinder says 2E. Siddhant says 2E. Hari Krishna says 2E. Anubhav says 2E. Devarpita says 2. Everybody has gone for E. Right. And the only challenge was knowing this word, eclectic. Or history, unlike physics, does not help predict future. Even this could have been like a close choice, right? Because I did read it there. But is that the central idea of the passage, or was it like a sub story which leads to something? That yes, it doesn't predict, but it does something else, which is opening up of the horizon. So that I was looking for opening up of horizon, right? History deals with long time periods. History documents are past events related to specific people. This is okay, what is history? History is this, but that wasn't the question. There is no strict and strict cause and effect relationship in history. So again, it's true according to the passage, but the question is not what is true according to the passage. The question is closest to the essence, and then I can get to this. And using this word here is the examiner's trick to look for those people who are really like basically good at language. If you are, because then you'll find it very, very easy. How can you be invest in words on a daily basis till you become good at it? There's a certain threshold. Once you reach that level, then it becomes automatic. You're learning all the time. It doesn't matter if you're watching a show or a movie, reading the newspaper, like me. Let's try out the third question. I hope we're having fun and not exhausted already. Science says that learning works like concentrated learning works for like a total of 35 minutes. So those all those 2 hour, 3 hour things. I mean, I've done that in live classroom by distributing toffees and everything. But now I think the science is very accurate. 35, 40, 50 minutes, you're like, ah, after that, I am talking to myself right now. Waiting for question number three's answer because we have already read it. Read the whole thing. Uh, how to work on the paraphrasing. Yash, invest in words, invest in learning a lot of words from good sources. Basically, like do a crash course in vocabulary. Because once you have these words in your head, right, that okay, uh, predicting, sorry, forgot the opening up of horizons, opening up of possibilities. Here it says eclectic. These are same ideas in different words, right? So the better the vocabulary base of things, the easier all of this compression will be. The second thing for paraphrasing is that general and specific. Let me take you back to that perfect example. I can say the paraphrasing of this paragraph is that chief aim of science is to predict the future. I could do that because the moment I see this, I see a specific. I know the paraphrasing, I don't need the specific, I just need the idea. That means I want to capture the idea in my own word, but I don't even need to do my own words right now. It's there, right? A lot of people start thinking, I mean, and some of you have done that. Some of you went through the CAT program, have done that, right? Initially they would used to give very fancy answers, but by the end of it they would just point to a sentence in the story and say this is the idea. I don't even need to read it, it's there, right? I don't need to add my own words to the story. So I hope that made sense. So okay, so 3 everybody has given D. Devarpita says B. Okay, let's check. Uh, the question was at the end, which of the statements, if above, if true, would contradict the view of the author? So, what was the view of the author? Repeat in your head. One was history can't predict the future, and the second was that history can open up the horizons, right? So, if I look at a historian successfully predicted a political crisis based on similar events of the last century. This is predicting the future. This is definitely in conflict with the idea of the author, right? So one is okay for me. I want to highlight it so far. Using the latest technologies, doctors could decipher the microbe causing the disease. This has nothing to do with history or horizons. This is not in contradiction. This is just irrelevant. Students who prepared for an examination by pursuing perusing past 10 years question papers did not do well in the examination. This is actually in tune with what he's saying that history will not work. Though there it was past and present, there was a little bit of a gap. This might not be, but still it is in tune with what the author is saying. Option 4. not option 4, statement 4. A tribe in Andaman learns to predict epidemic outbreaks by listening to the stories. This is in contradiction to what the author is saying. So I think somebody who said, sir, is RC and CR prep required for XAT and GMAT? It is exactly the same, right? The only difference is some of the exams in RC, it's so easy that you don't need to do anything. But for any of these difficult legendary exams, RC and CR are exact. I mean, it's like, I mean, how can I even explain it? This GMAT training and CAT training, or CAT versus NMAT and versus SNAP versus SSC CGL is a product differentiation. Everything is atta, aloo, anda. Somebody is calling it atta, aloo, anda. Say what do you get? Somebody is calling it egg paratha. Somebody is calling it Chinese, a Chinese dish. But the heart of it is basic reading skills and your critical reasoning. Now, not only forget CAT, JAT, GMAT, in life you need critical reasoning and reading skills. If you have good reading skills, you can acquire skills very, very quickly. And critical reasoning is simply required so that people don't make a fool out of you, right? Which everyone is out there to do. For example, there is a company called Blight Cat Funier, right? Because you can't take their name. So there's a company called Black Kite Funier, and they say that every kid, right after they make the app, will become like Bill Gates, right? Which I know, which I definitely know as faff, right? It's bullshit, it's crap. There are IT engineers who never made an app after 4 years of engineering and studying everything, right? But the average citizen will go, yeah, yeah, let my child be enrolled in white plat Prunier, right? So yeah, critical reasoning is a basic skill required for life. I got distracted and excited, but the answer finally then looks like a good answer. No? So if we did that, if you got what I'm saying, I think we got 100%. And what a lovely passage to read and enriching for the soul compared to the amount of crap which Blight Bat Frunier is supplying to everyone, right? Hrithik Ji is also there. Ah, right. Safed Topi Chutku. Thanks, Siddhant. It's so much easier. So Safed Topi Chutku is the and Kaiju's, right? So, by the way, little appreciation. Use of opposable thumbs for yours truly, not running a mail campaign, phone campaigns, or even ads. I will show you. I'll show you another ad. This is actually the silliest of all. I lost it. Yeah. This is my interpretation of it. Here it said something else, that something will happen in the course or whatever. But what is being sold essentially? Whenever I see an ad like this, I'm asking, is the woman coming with the car or something, right? So this is critical. This is a critical reasoning thing, that when I look at an ad like this, I know the person who's made this ad is, what is he selling? He's selling some aspiration about white skin or something, right? And most of my children are dark, I think, right? Like brownish, yellowish kind of a thing with all kinds of colors in between. So who is this for? But all of this nonsense works, by the way. They got, yeah. So yeah, that's critical thinking is a life skill, guys. By the way, the ad that I showed you was for a GMAT course, right? I'll show you what my ad looks like, huh? By the way, compared to that. This is my ad. This is my ad. This is not the best one. I'll show you. Yeah, this is my ad. So yeah, going back, if you're okay with this passage, I want to skip the other passages just for now and take you to the critical reasoning section. So this was a tricky passage, by the way. Somebody told me that it's like, oh yeah, something was like problematic. I think the next one is trickier. So shall we visit the because it's getting longish already? Shall we quickly visit? How am I being? Somebody said I'm being racist. How am I? How am I being racist? What did I do? When was I racist? I mean, racist? You mean like that? So I'm moving to the critical reasoning section because you've already got a taste of how the RC might look like, and it's all going to be the same process over and over again. We did this question already. Let's try this question. It'll also give your mind a break. Yeah, yeah, I will do all passages, guys. Let me design the. I will fully do everything. Just I think I generally go a little slower. The Rene Descartes passage is very easy, by the way. Huh? If you get over the shock value. So I have a question in front of your. I mean, basically, you have a question on your screen. It's a very Descartes kahin rahin. No holiday already. Question on your screen. Read this. Answer this. Parvinder, have you read the passage already? Then we can go very fast, by the way. And Siddhant hasn't told me why I'm racist. Siddham says size versus impact, size, shape, degree, impact, compose E matches the proportionality. Parvinder says E. Maverick has left. Right, so everybody got it right. So the strategic tip would be to definitely invest in RC. Sorry, in CR because the questions are even more direct and quite straightforward. Plus life skill. I hope nobody has a problem with that. Okay, okay. Do I need to discuss this? No, we can move on, right? I think everybody got it right. If somebody has a problem, I can go very, very quickly. Size of the wave is a function of the velocity of the wind and the fetch. I don't know what this means. Something the length of the surface of the water subject to those winds. Okay. So the size of the wave is dependent on the velocity of the wind and the length of the surface. Okay, great. The average impact of waves against a coastline is a function of the size of the waves and the shape of the sea bottom. So the size of the wave I saw came from velocity and length of the surface, and the impact comes from the size and the shape of the sea bottom. I hope you already know where this is going. The degree of erosion on coastline is the function of the average impact of waves and the geological composition of the coastline. So the impact came from the earlier sentence, and the size of the waves can come from earlier sentence. Keep connecting and you'll be done. Can I comment on A? The fetch of the wind is related to the shape of the sea bottom. How is it related? The fetch means the length of the surface of the water subject to winds. Now, wind and the length create the size of the wave. Size of the wave and the shape of the sea bottom create the impact. You are saying in option A that the fetch of wind is related to the shape of the sea bottom. No, the size of the wave and the sea bottom shape of the sea bottom get together to create the impact, right? So how is the fetch of the wind related to the shape of the sea bottom? No, the fetch of the wind creates the size of the wave. The size of the wave interacts with, I'm saying the same thing, I think, over and over again, right? Let's try this question. I hope everyone is trying this out. Very interesting question. And always be on the lookout to learn all of this as well, right? Homework for today later. Waiting for answers. Yeah, the question is the same as weaken. All you have to do is understand this term, make the paragraph redundant. That means make it, oh wow, dictionary. Not or no longer needed or useful, basically useless. That means you have to essentially contradict the passage and prove it wrong. So then the question becomes, what is the passage saying? Then it's very easy. Imdadul says C. Parvinder says D. Devarpita says E. Sritam says E. Waiting for more answers. Let me pick one of these. Yeah, somebody retracted their C answer, I think. Okay, great. I was going to start with that. So let me tackle Parvinder first. Parvinder said D, right? So why not? Why D? D says Western civilizations have been traversed by a different kind of religious leaders. Okay, so if Western civilizations have been traversed by different kinds of religious leaders, how is that negating or attacking or making this paragraph useless? Is the paragraph, because I haven't read it with you guys, is the paragraph saying that Western civilizations have not been traversed by different kind of religious leaders? Is it? Right, so I think the answer is in the very first line. By the way, Indian religious and ethical space is different from that of Western countries. The Vedas, Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, etc., enrich Indian religious and social space. Details or treatment of human values and dharma. So I will not read it too much. If I look at option E, has anybody marked any other answer? Just to make sure. Okay, no. So E, Western ethical and religious space has a long tradition of treatment of human values and dharma. So if it is so that they also have the treatment of human values and dharma, and the Indian space also has human values and dharma, saying that Indian religious and ethical space is different from that of Western countries becomes pointless, right? Essentially, that's what the paragraph was saying, that Indian religious and ethical space is different. How is it different? Because it has dharma and whatever the story was, which I can get into later. I forgot the excitement about it, and I'll come back to it. But if I look at E, it says even Western people have it, and therefore this whole paragraph becomes useless. Are we okay with that? Now, homework for everyone is, who is Tiruvalluvar? Find out about him a little. He is your great ancestor. Find out about Kabir. Read some of his poems. Read up about Nanak, Guru Nanak. I think yesterday was something celebration. Alvas and Nyamas of Tamil Nadu. Find out about them. These are all your spiritual ancestors. Basa Veswara. This keeps coming in the news. I think there's a Lingayat community, they follow this particular saint. Sri Chaitanya, and so many more. And most of these are philosophers and poets, right? So they've revealed the secrets of the universe. It's just waiting for you. So go and grab it right now. Are we okay with what happened in this question? So I think still fairly in the easy category. So the RC seems a little tricky, but I think the CR, and this is not the first time, most of the CR questions that I've seen are fairly straightforward, well crafted, very stable questions. Unless you're going with a lot of you know, nuance. Okay. This is perfect, and this is an important lesson I want to. For no, I have. the CR course has a lot of top level GMAT questions as well. So the CR course is sorted. There's nothing. If you go through it, then whatever is happening on GMAT club, etc., will be very, very. I mean, once you finish the course, I don't think CR will be a problem at all. So a lot of times the problem is a language. So that's why half the CR course is converted into Hindi conversation so that we are very clear about what's happening. Then add a little language, a little vocabulary, and you're ready. Waiting for answers for this particular question. And this paragraph is telling me that everyone should learn how to play a musical instrument. That is a bonus lesson. Half of the for whatever is in Hindi is also available in English or will be available. Tessa says D. Anubhav says C. Tessa says D. Question mark. Shar- Sharwani says. Emadul says C for sure. Sharwani says A. This interpreted is the same as inferred, deduced, concluded. So don't get thrown off with that. Manjita says C. Okay. So, any other answers? Devarpita says A. Okay. So, quickly, music probably does something interesting, explains a neuropsychologist, easy peasy. It stimulates the brain in a very powerful way. Great. Because of our emotional connection with it. Great. Unlike brain games, playing an instrument is a rich and complex experience. So, let me fix one thing first. Unlike brain games, playing an instrument, right? When you play an instrument is a rich and complex experience. What can you tell me about brain games? Unlike Ramesh, Suresh is very honest. What can you tell me about Ramesh? Is the question clear? That means all I'm doing essentially, if I haven't done that, is to highlight this particular word. And this is a very good lesson in terms of how easy inference is, what is inference, and how easy it can be. So, unlike Suresh, Ramesh is very, whatever the was the case earlier. I'll do what TV shows do, news channels do. Unlike Pakistan, India is a developing nation. What can you say about Pakistan? Yeah, right. So if you pay attention to this word and think, the problem is uh, uh, we are not taught in a hurry, right? I mean, we are taught in a hurry and we don't learn to slow down at these particular conjunctions. and basically we've not been trained enough in this. But again, it's a very easy thing to do. Learn from one example and use it over and over again. So even in inference questions, a lot of people think that you have to read the whole passage and then do some magical compression algorithm. Nothing. It's often just this one sentence, one keyword which will reveal that thing. So now if I read the same Suresh Ramesh India Pakistan example, uh, you can use it here. Unlike brain games, playing an instrument is a rich and complex experience. That means, therefore, deduction, brain games is not a rich and complex experience because they are unlike. And that is your deductive reasoning, basically, game playing out. Keeping that in mind, 3 is definitely in, and A is definitely out because it is only one. And I know 3 is definitely part of the interpretation. Are we okay with what happened here? The lesson why everyone should learn the instrument is because this can result in long lasting changes in the brain, which is also useful in the business world. Your left brain, your right brain gets more connected with each other. True story, first hand experience. So, if for everyone who's done with cat, learn how to play something. This means guitar, this means violin. Any other option? Okay, great. So, we are done with the CR section also. Now, I mean, just as a taste of it, I think I mentioned this question yesterday. This is the word I was talking about. Rare word. I'd never seen it. I googled it and I found a meaning. Now I will remember, but difficult word. But try out the question, give me your answer. But I knew the rest of them. Or let me just point out that, or find out how many of these words you know. Nonchalant, remonstration, philippic, ennui, insocuent, remonstration. Yeah, these, one, two, three, four, and a new word here, insocuent, insouciant. Oh, sorry. The answer for the previous one was only 3. By the way, in case I did not cover it. Why one is wrong, I'm leaving for you to evaluate. You can go through it quickly. It says this is unlike it's a rich and complex experience. This is because it's integrating information from senses like vision, hearing, and touch, along with fine movements. Right here, it says playing a musical instrument is a unique experience involving vision, hearing, and touch. Part of the problem is it is stated directly in the paragraph. You're not interpreting it. Remember, brain games are not a rich and complex experience, is not given in the passage. You are deducing it. This is given in the passage and it says it's a unique experience. How do you know this is a unique experience? Maybe there are other activities which also involve vision, hearing, and touch. Right? Cooking, vision, hearing, and touch. When you chop, there'll be a sound, right? So that's why one will not work for me. So I'm okay with only 3. Why can't we infer 4? Okay. Integrating the 5 senses is critical in the business world. It said it'll be applicable, or is it critical? Is there a difference between applicable and critical? Let me put it this way. Uh, Being calm is applicable, is a good skill in like sports. It is also applicable in business. Can I from there deduce that it's also a critical skill? Critical means that you can't do without it. So that was the problem with 4. Back to that vocabulary thingy, and basically don't worry about the answer, don't worry about the question. Worry about that how many of these words you know. This is the level of words that you can expect in XAT. In Snap, the word levels are fairly easy. The idioms are pretty straightforward, but definitely, and this is a come down. I remember a particular version where it was just vocabulary after vocabulary and only like very, very fancy words. So I will share some fancy words on the Telegram thingy on a daily, and I've been doing that anyway, but I will up the fanciness version of it. But as of now, uh, I could get the answer by knowing the other words. I know what ennui means, I know what nonchalant means, I know what demonstration means. Kohli is applicable in opening but not critical. Perfect. And wow, it's so. I love that, man. I'm loving it more and more. Lannisters and Tyrells. I mean, if you've seen Game of Thrones, not that will help you get to the answer, but Lannisters and Tyrells, and it's like, okay, yeah, what I know this, right? And basically, this question was about can you, I mean, do you know countable nouns and uncountable nouns, right? Lesser and fewer. Give me a few more mangoes, or give me a okay, give me a few more mangoes is right, right? Give me a few more mangoes. But can you say give me a few more water, or give me a few more rice? Right? So, just the basic countable, uncountable noun or the parts of speech section will be enough for work like this. But my recommendation is to not worry about the EU, the English usage question, because unless you have been working for a longish time, this will be difficult. This is not a quickly learnable skill. Basically, because of a lot of rules and counter exceptions. It's not only rules, there are lots of exceptions as well, but it's always worth investing in the basics like fewer and lesser and fewer, what's the difference, when to use them, etc. All of these links are below in the description box, or maybe somebody can post it in a bit. Okay, and then there was one more poem, and this time I think it's by Rumi, though I haven't googled it yet and confirm it. But I've read so much Rumi that I know that this is a poet known as Rumi. So Rumi, maybe Google about him and read up a few more poems. He's quite fiery and talks about love and freedom and everything, which right now you might not understand at all. Like, what is he talking about, right? But I'm planning to do a separate session on Rumi decoded. What is he trying to say? Because I have understood, so I'm very excited to share what he's going to do. But right now, I'm not going to go into the poem, and we are done with the test in terms of okay, what all is there. So four passages, five critical reasoning questions, a couple of para jumbles that we haven't done right now, a couple of usage and vocabulary questions as such, right? So that's the major outline, right? And I hope you also realize that if you look at okay, that we're preparing for that, yes, but what do we need? We need reading skills. Number one, a little bit of more investment in vocabulary maybe will definitely help, and be relentless about it. Just keep learning 10, 15, 20 words on a daily basis. Be very open to a lot of new ideas like this, that okay, what about history? What does history do? And then the next passage was about the thinking process, doubts and belief, and how do doubts and belief work, etc., which I will discuss in due time. Uh, Maybe passage by passage or two passages in a day. Yeah, and by the way, if you just did this much, what we just did right now in approximately an hour or so, you would have cleared the cutoff. Do a few more, and you'll be hitting the high percentile ranges. And if you're my student from the CAT category, you must crack the reading. I mean, if you've been following the long course, you must. There's no way about not doing it anymore. I'm not giving teacher pressure. I'm saying you know it, right? Just deploy it, and you'll be done with it. Are we okay with that? The schedule for this XAT decision making and crash course is approximately Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 8:30 onwards to maybe hour and a half, right? Not 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I will try and share the material beforehand so that we can go even faster and maybe just work on doubts and me not go through the whole thing all the time and answer it accordingly, right? Maybe doing everything is also fine because planning doesn't work too well. Most people will still come without trying out the sheet, and everything will have to be kind of worked. Yeah, Kashish, the test thing will happen later, but the same thing. Keep even more verbal, even easier maths, and even more socialist than that. But keep at it. Now somebody says somebody's agreeing with somebody else, but I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna stop and maybe share those links and whatnot. I posted it in the chat window. So I'm assuming that everybody realize that CR is definitely the scoring section. Life can go up and down, and maybe they will make CR very difficult. But let's say, if on an average, if I want to think about it, CR is reliable. RC, because of the size, you still might get thrown off. But CR is like a compact space where you can quickly work out the data. And I hope you realize that RC, if you followed the course already, like the long course, then you realize that it's the same thing, nothing has changed. The questions are a little bit application oriented, but you've worked hard already. If you're just beginning to learn RC, please finish the RC playlist available on YouTube. That will help you connect with any future conversations, right? This is for new members who have just joined this particular crash course as such, right? The ZAT DMVARC crash course. So I've already messaged them, mailed them, telling them to do all of this work already. Even the decision making part should be done after the critical reasoning section has been done, at least 50-60% of it, right? I have posted the uh, right, so the schedule for YouTube is also given on the Telegram. Now I am earlier I used to just give it like 1 hour in advance. Now I'm trying to give it one day before and like kind of fix a schedule, make my life also kind of slightly easier. So the current plan for the batch members is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, and YouTubers can expect like one of these sessions to be online, like in the public space every other week as such, right? Weekends I want to keep for math revision and basically that too via sheet. I mean, I'll be sharing problems with you. You're supposed to solve them. I'm assuming the basic formula theory work everybody has already done for the math section. And again, if you're just starting right now, then just go through the basic maths course. Don't worry about the extra sheets as such. Okay, so I hope everybody had fun. Uh, Use the opposable thumbs. Tell a friend. Hit the like button. What else? And the courses are migrating to a new website. So if you haven't done, if you're an old member, please create an ID there, drop me a message, and I will add you to the courses in the lifetime, especially for lifetime members from the old website. Yeah, weekends for maths. Okay, so that's it. Students, later. The next ZAT session is going to be on Monday, the DM section. Uh, And the challenges for that are already loaded on the page. That 2018 only. So Monday we'll do around 8-10 questions live, and other 8-10 will be added in the pre-recorded sessions. I still say pre-recordeds are far more compressed and shorter and crisper. So please make sure that you finish the already loaded videos like in a hurry at 2x speed in 3-4 days. It can be done at 5 days, 10 days maximum can be done. So that's it. I will see you soon. Bye. Bye bye.